The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Waking humanity, one soul at a time. This is the World You Don't Know radio show with your host, Nick O'Connell.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome along to this week's edition of The World You Don't Know. Myself, Mick O'Connell. I wasn't here last week. I had a previous show put out last week. I couldn't make it up last week. But I am here this week and I am live and I do have a guest lined up tonight. I've got a gentleman coming on very shortly now called Bill O'Brien. I'll just give you a little quick bio about what he's about. Bill O'Brien represents an organisation called Ubuntu. Now, for those who are technically minded, Ubuntu is a operating system that you can put onto most computers, but that's not what I'm talking about. Ubuntu contributionism has been set up and grown by Mr. Michael Tellinger. And you can get tons of videos by Michael Tellinger, by the way, on YouTube. Very interesting stuff as well. Who, through his study of ancient structures and civilizations, came to realise that there is a better way to live and work, and that is to come together and work as a collective, where each person in a community gives a small portion of their time, knowledge and skills to community projects which benefit everybody. It's a system that over time will make communities very self-sufficient. Ubuntu contributionism is a global movement with members from all walks of life and from all countries who resonate with these ideas and model of living and working together. There is a main website, ubuntuplanet.org, and there's an Irish website, ubuntuireland.com, so you can go on to both of those websites and check them out. There's a link to those websites on The World You Don't Know as well. There's a post on there. And that website is for all of Ireland. The guy I have coming on tonight is Bill O'Brien. He's a native of County Tipperary who has been living and working in County Antrim for the last 13 years. He's always had an interest in community projects, and he read Michael Tellinger's book, Ubuntu Contributionism, a few years back, and thought it was a very good framework to use to achieve big improvements in many areas of our lives. He's put together with some other people a rural community business and enterprise plan that will use the contributionism model to achieve their goals and improve the quality of everybody's lives. Now, this is not communism, folks, you know. I mean, I don't want people thinking that this has anything to do with communism. It doesn't. I mean, saying that communism is not a bad idea as long as it's practiced properly, but anyway, as we know through history, communism doesn't seem to work. The capitalists, for some reason, don't seem to like communism. I wonder why. But anyway, I'm going to get this guy on now. So he is on Skype, so I'm going to call him in now, and hopefully we'll find out off Bill what Ubuntu is all about. I have deliberately done little or no research on Ubuntu, which is, I suppose, unprofessional of me as a radio presenter, but I deliberately didn't do any research because I want to come into this blind and he can tell us everything that I need to know about Ubuntu. So I'm dialing him on Skype now. The call is trying to connect. Now hopefully it will connect, and if it does connect, we'll conduct an interview with this gentleman, Bill O'Brien. So if you just bear with me for a moment or two. I think Bill is up in Northern Ireland, I'm not sure, but if he is, he may have a bad connection, hence the reason it's not connecting for me. But he is there, he is on Skype, I know he's there, but unfortunately there's nothing happening. So if you bear with me for a minute or two, I think he's there now, is he? Let me see. I'm going to try and go to him. Good evening, Bill. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening. Excuse me about that little mess up this week, because they were...
Yeah, there's a little bit of a weak signal. Listen, you're very welcome along to the World You Don't Know radio show.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
And it's a pleasure to have you. It's through a mutual friend. I don't know if you know Trevor Reavers, who was one of the organisers of the Awaken Aware and South East Ireland conference there back in February.
I don't know him yet. I've heard of him through the other people in Ubuntu who were in contact and actually spoke at the event.
They did, and unfortunately I didn't make it down to Waterford until the afternoon, so I actually missed the Ubuntu presentation, and this is why I decided not to do any research on Ubuntu, because I want you to tell me all about Ubuntu and exactly what it is. So over to you. What exactly is Ubuntu?
Well, I suppose a little bit of background. It's an idea that was a fella called Michael Tellinger.
Right, who I am aware of.
A conclusion he came to a number of years ago. He's a researcher into ancient cultures and all sorts of very, very interesting fields. And through that work, he was looking at the systems that those cultures used in trade and in work and in all these other things. And he, again, I suppose, coupled with the state of our world economically and everything at the moment, he came to the conclusion that there's a better way, a more efficient way to run our systems, work-wise, industry and that, and workforce in a sense. And it was contributionism, and is the term he uses. And it's where the people of a community, a local community, instead of each individually doing a job and getting a little pay and whatever, organize themselves, contribute a small amount of their time per week to community projects, to creating small enterprises, industries, and whatever else in where you're living. And basically open the standard of life. And also you're making those connections with your friends, your neighbors, new people, you're sharing knowledge, your growth. There's better growth in an environment like that, because the more people you meet, the better. And it also lessens the burden on everybody's cash flow every week. When you're in a community and you're creating things there, you're doing workshops, or you're sharing your knowledge, or anything down to people who like wood turning, making some furniture, that sort of thing. That just to give a basic example.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention wood turning. I actually do wood turning myself.
Oh, very good.
Well,
Isn't it a wonderful skill?
I'm only at it the last 4 weeks, to be honest with you. I started work recently at Men's Shed. I don't know if you're aware of the Men's Shed organisation.
I've actually heard a lot of people speaking about that. That sounds wonderful.
Well, I've started working at one of the Dublin Men's Sheds, and it's a very well equipped shed, and there's a 2 or 3 lathes in there. So I've already turned a couple of bowls and a couple of lamps, and it's something that I've developed a passion for, So it's a great thing.
Wonderful. Oh, that's super. Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that great?
Funny enough, the ethos of the Men's Shed is very similar to Ubuntu. It's people who come together and share and impart their skills.
They do.
Free of charge. And,
when you're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned an awful lot off these old guys that are there. Like, I'm one of the younger people that are there. I'm 45. Most of the guys that are there would be 50 plus and over that, But the skilled carpenters, they're tradesmen, they're fitters, they're engineers, but they're all retired, and they come into the shed, and you can learn a hell of a lot off these people.
Isn't that so true? That's absolutely. I mean, that person. I speak a lot, from my own perspective, obviously, of how I interpret Ubuntu and all these other things. But that's what I think about. That's what I see. It's the next evolutionary step in how we work and how we work the money system and everything else, isn't it?
This is it, I mean, there's people...
We're evolving away all the time.
Exactly,
this is the next kind of sensible step.
I think capitalism has, in my own opinion anyway, I think it's run its course. It was a good idea while it lasted, but there's too much greed in capitalism, and we can just have to take a look around the world to see the state the planet is in now because of capitalism. And it is because of capitalism. Well,
it's certainly kind of a top-heavy... a system, there's a small amount with a fairly big clout. And I suppose at the end of the day, the old saying, he who has the money kind of calls the shots.
Well, that's the way it has been, I suppose, on the planet,
It has. But in fairness, though, it's down to all of us as well. We're all kind of learning away and evolving with it, though. And I think it's run its course because we've grown up. We've learned, we've used the system. We see a lot of good in it. We've created some, I mean, living now in the world is fantastic. Mobile phones, every question you could think of, you get the answers at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So there's an awful lot of super stuff we're doing with it. And so we had the evolution in technology, we had the evolution in our food and health and cleanliness, all these other wonderful areas. And I suppose now it's the point where we go, well, let's evolve just kind of how we do the whole workforce part of our world. Because that's the part we're kind of all feeling the sharp end of.
But I think with the modern world the way it is now, and I've noticed it in Ireland in particular, and I'm sure you've noticed it yourself, there's a lot of skills now that have, gone by the wayside. Like you mentioned, wood turning, cabinet making, stuff like that. I mean, I worked in the furniture industry back in the 90s for several years, and the factory I worked in, there was 5 or 6 cabinet makers, skilled men.
Yes.
There's no work for these people anymore, because anything that this country needs now, it gets imported.
Yeah, it's you're right. That definitely seems to be the way, and it is a shame.
But these skills are dying off. This is my point.
Yes, and I think that's what you're talking about, Men's Shed, and also what we're doing the big project we're doing in Tipperary.
Can you tell me about that place?
Sorry?
Can you tell me about the project you have on the go in Tipperary? You have a farm, I believe, down there. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, what it is basically is with the model of Ubuntu, the contributionism of people working, coming together to create, as I say, I suppose to build something to prove that the next step in evolution of our money system works. We put it like that. And a lot of people are interested in, and they think, right, well, let's put our heads together and do this. So it kind of came that my grandmother, her farm is down in Tipperary, and my father's retiring. And so over the years, I've been putting together a plan to do some big community project, and it was always a kind of working it out. But again, the sharp point was the cost, but associated with manpower in a sense. If anything you're going to create, even if you're going to set up a wood shop and you want to make a bit of furniture, and one of your biggest costs will be manpower or paying people to do work, and it makes starting anything difficult and all the rest. So then a good number of years ago, I heard about I saw Michael Tellinger give an interview on a TV show, and he talked about this new book he'd written about Ubuntu contributionism. So I thought that sounded very interesting. I thought that's actually, he brought together a good model, a good framework for working that would fit anything. When you're thinking of doing something in the community, you think, how are we going to manage this to manage the cost of it, but still make it really great and inclusive where everyone's getting a good benefit. And that framework then worked out great. I thought, God, that fits lovely. So I'd read all the book and whatnot, and listened to a little bit of what he was, what he talked about and the rest of it in his experiences. And I thought, that's just perfect. That's a really clever idea. And it was the people give, the framework is you give 3 hours a week of your time to whatever projects that are needing doing. So it's managed, obviously, in each village or in each area, I suppose area you'd call it, because it's something that'll work in a village, in a town size, independently. It's wonderful. And 3 hours a week from people, say there's 100 people give it in. That's 300 man hours. You have to do lots of different projects in town, be it making your town beautiful, clean it up, planting flowers, building extra amenities for young people, playgrounds, or again, if you're like yourself, wood turning and carpenters, fitters, building really good play parks, something is very basic.
But can I ask you though,
the manpower to do it, and so the cost of the resources then is very, very low.
But can I ask you though, that's all very well, and that's a brilliant idea when you can pull so many people in the community to do something, say like a play area for children, but would you not run up against problems like planning permission and crap like that?
To be honest, I think the people in the council and the planning and everyone else will also be very enthusiastic about it. Because if not, it's not in a sense anything, we'll build this and against whatever anyone says. But I think if the councils are given a chance where people kind of all come together and go, well, let's put our heads together and make it work. In that sense, I think the people in the council will be really enthusiastic. Because also the other side is they've all got kids and mothers and fathers and cousins and brothers and that'll benefit.
I find in my own
locally, so it's in all our interest to do it in that sense.
Yeah.
In all senses.
But I find like with the likes of, county councils or city councils, you're coming up against red tapes and, rule followers, people who just like to follow rules,
Yes, yeah, that can be a sticking point. But I'll tell you, I can only speak in from my own experience, but any time I've dealt with public officials and organisations and county councils, I've found that asking them for their help rather than kind of just getting the forms and muddling through. We have I think in Ireland, a tendency to just a do-it-yourself tendency, and just whatever needs, okay, I'll take that and I'll work my way through it. But I found that people in councils and any kind of public service, if you engage them and fully kind of explain what's going on and that it'll benefit everybody, it'll benefit them, it'll benefit the people in the villages. because the better, say, these projects will work. You know, to do this pilot project and have a lot of fun with it. But when that works really nicely and is in compliance with all the rules and regs, because the thing with councils, most of the red tape that they have to enforce is public safety.
Yeah.
And it's very, very strict, because you're always kind of putting that safety net at the level of the most vulnerable, which can oftentimes feel to, when you're not the most vulnerable yourself, it can feel like you're being a little bit mollycoddled, in a sense. And a lot of red tape comes with that. But I suppose the reason is, the safety net's it is for the most vulnerable. And so we have to kind of step through it a little bit more gently. But still, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But the people I find are real helpful and usually very knowledgeable and very, very positive. And so, things, also even things like the leader program in the county councils and other things, they're very proactive now. And this is what I found so far. They're very, very proactive and positive about anything enterprising in rural areas. I think there's a realization coming that people, these things need to be improved. Amenities need to be improved a little bit, and ways also that you can use up your energy and even wood shops talk about putting in public areas some fitness equipment, things like that.
Yeah, they're doing that up in Dublin, by the way. Now, a few of the public parks in Dublin now are installing fitness machines, just manual ones, like they're not electric or anything like that. And
yeah,
and
I actually have seen them. The councils, we live up in County Antrim, but the councils up here have been doing that the last, I think, about 2 or 3 years. That's what I've noticed. That they're probably actually doing it a lot.
I think it's a great idea because, there's a park in particular up not far from where I live called Bunton Park, and they've installed a few in there. And anytime I'm driving up, there's always elderly people on them, which I find, it's quite satisfying to see them. Like, they're getting out and about and they're getting on these machines.
Isn't that brilliant?
I think it's wonderful. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to see.
Absolutely. And I mean, what a great thing for them to put in.
Yeah. Rather than just, don't get me wrong, it's important to cater to the children as well and put a playground in place in the park. But to cater for old folks, so, they don't just have to go on a walk around the park. They can actually get fit in the park if they want to,
I couldn't agree more.
It's a wonderful idea,
Yeah, walking's one thing, but you do, no matter what your age, it's important to kind of keep an eye to your physical strength.
Yeah.
In a sense. It's just, I don't mean if you're not into to build a load of muscle or anything like that, but you do need to keep
just to stay fit and keep yourself alive,
physically strong and active.
Yeah, listen, Bill, I need to go to a quick ad. Do you mind muting your microphone for a couple of minutes?
Not at all.
That'll be brilliant. I have you on the same fader as the ads, unfortunately. I usually have you on a different computer, but unfortunately they're both on the same one. So if you could mute your mic while the ads are on, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Folks, we'll be back in 2 minutes with Bill. Talk to us very shortly.
Broadcasting to Lucan, this is Liffey Sound. 96.4 FM.
Now, folks, you're very welcome back. Bill, you still with me? Hello?
Hello, Mick.
That's grand, you're still with me. Now, listen, I want to talk a little bit more about this farm. I spoke to a friend of mine earlier, Philip Phelan. Good evening, Philip, if you're listening. He was at your farm yesterday.
Yes, correct. I met himself and his wife.
His wife Hilda, that's right, yeah. And he was telling me, like, on Facebook, it's an amazing place, I should go and see it. So, do you want to tell me a little bit more about it and what exactly goes on there?
Well, what's going on? We're starting it this year, so at the moment it looks more not quite like a building site, but it's the first putting down the roots of this little rural enterprise idea we have, and it's a farm. The location is perched on a little hill, and you have a view of the mountain of Slieve-na-Mon, which is a really very pretty mountain, and it has the old folklore story of the women's race to the top of it and all of that. And I decided with it, because it was my granny's place and that, and I was, like I said, with my dad retiring, that I had this enterprise plan, this rural business plan, and tied in with all these other things that our ideas were to improve the quality of life in a lot of areas in the community. Maybe not by a whole lot, but if you bring up a lot of areas a little bit, the quality of the overall really, really jumps. And so we thought, coupled with food, people, the awareness now of the need and love of good food, good, clean, organic greens and all of these things. I mean, the amount of information that's flowing on social media and in the all the areas about the importance of organic food, the importance of eating green vegetables and raw if you can. People are drinking a lot of smoothies and eating very, very well, and obviously that information's coming through. But there's a supply demand problem, and so we've said we'd address that in a local community to start with, and we're going to do an organic farm. We have a polytunnel there for the soft veggies, the tomatoes and lettuce and all of these nice things. And then there's obviously outside drills with kale, broccoli, potatoes. That very basic stuff, but very nice. And we don't have a huge plot this year, but we're putting it in and we're going to trial it, grow it, and sell it locally. Because it's that kind of size, so it'll be targeted just in the local villages, and we'll see how it goes. Because people are really, really looking for it, and we're very, very enthusiastic about food, about clean food and the quality of it, and so that'll be a very good thing. And I think in a locale, and the better your food, the more local it's grown. It improves your health physically, even if you do nothing else but just change your diet. Yeah. You will change how you feel dramatically.
More and more people are getting into organic food and eating, more vegetables and stuff like that. Because we are getting savvy to, junk food not being good for you. Where people are giving it up, in their droves. But I think for myself, the problem is that when you go to supermarkets like the giant supermarkets, I won't mention any of their names. To try and get your hands on what you can call pure organic food is very, very hard. Most of it's probably genetically modified. It's sprayed with pesticides and stuff like that. You can go into a local supermarket and get a bag of carrots for 49 cents. A farmer couldn't grow them for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's that. It kind of agriculture has painted itself into a corner, in a sense, in a lot of areas. Over the years. When you're doing it from the side of the men in agriculture and the farming and the industry, it's more efficient if you're doing a monocrop. You've got big acreage and you put in, one crop of, say, carrots. So you've got maybe 200 acres of carrots. It's it's much more efficient than if you're doing, say, 2 acres of carrots and 2 of something else and 2 of corn and all these other things, a lot of diversity. So it kind of evolved to that. But with that, they ended up being, like I said, painting themselves into a corner in that you're caught. Yeah. All your eggs are in the one basket, or in this case, all your carrots are in the one trailer. And you then have put yourself in the position where your price and how you can manage your business is dictated to you by who gets rid of your food, by the wholesaler, or by the retailer, rather, not even the wholesaler. It's kind of, it just kind of ended up that way. You can see how it evolved to it, but it was just a bit of a mistake. And I mean, over the last 30 years, you can see that any farming practice or agricultural practice that has gone into the supersize mode has failed dramatically. Yeah. And I mean, you can see that there's a wonderful book called Farmageddon. If you ever read it, it goes into many different food productions, from vegetables to fish to meat, all of the rest of it.
I mean, I've seen the documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it, called Cowspiracy.
Wonderful name. No, I haven't seen it.
Well, it's about the cattle industry globally, and the fact that they don't mention the cattle industry when they're talking about their climate models and all that for climate change. The impact that raising cattle has on the environment itself. I mean, it was basically stating that, like, for example, to create one burger that you would buy, say, at McDonald's or Burger King or anywhere else for that matter, just one burger takes up to 36 gallons of water to produce.
That's madness.
It is madness, but they don't tell you this, you see, when they're talking about climate change and stuff like that. They don't even mention it. This is the conspiracy about the cows. But yes. What I couldn't help noticing was, like, there was these farms over in Australia and in America, in Texas in particular, and they were huge. They were thousands of acres in size. And there wasn't a blade of grass anywhere to be seen. But there was thousands of cattle just all penned in. Food was shipped in trucks and, grain silos and whatnot. It was disgusting, really. It's a horrible way to farm.
And you could, to be honest, Mick, that ain't farming.
It's not. It's feeding the masses the burgers that they want.
It is. It's, again, I think it was just it took the farmer took an unfortunate turn in its evolution in those areas, and they went down the monocrop or the mono herd, one type of animal, one particular area that you develop, and you grow big in it.
Look, I know the farming community in Ireland has been decimated over the last 40 to 50 years, especially under the European Union. You know, you see farmers getting out all the time protesting about their conditions and stuff like that, and they've been paid not to grow food, and you know, all this sort of rubbish that goes on in the European Union. But I think that Ireland is in a unique position globally. Anyway, if you wanted to have a resurgence in farming, we're in a great position because the land is already still there. It just has to be reused again for what it should be used for.
To be honest, Mick, I think you're dead right. I think, and also, like you said, Ireland, and in fairness, we're living in a paradise, like it's a great spot. We are in a great position. I mean, even already, our food is recognised at home and abroad as very, very high quality, clean. And what's also important, and people don't talk about this much, is it's ethical. Because we haven't gone down the road yet. I know they took away quotas of milk there a couple of years ago, and that's leading to a few sort of ideas of bigger. But mostly, folk are still very connected to what they're doing. And it's ethical. People aren't referring to their cows as units. Yeah. You know, I have 100 units or 1,000 units, whatever. They're cows.
I mean, I remember I was in
there. It's very ethical. People really care about their animals and about their crops.
Yeah. I was in Wexford there a couple of years ago. A place called Carn Beach. I'm sure you probably know where Carn Beach is in Wexford. Lovely part of the southeast of Ireland. And the local shop that was on this caravan site, this mobile home site, sold local milk. And I went in one day and I just happened to buy a litre of the milk. And I'm not a big milk drinker, you know, because I know most of the milk is processed. But I drank the milk and it tasted so different to the milk you get up here in Dublin. It was a creamy milk. It was real milk. As soon as I drank it, it just brought me straight back to my childhood, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was proper milk.
Of course.
And it was lovely. It was really nice.
Yes. Oh, of course. And I mean, if it's a local milk as well, I'm sure the farmer or whoever's, maybe there's a local co-op taking it in from a few of them, they wouldn't be processing the milk just as hard. They wouldn't be taking as much out of it because in a bigger process, remember, you're getting your cream, you're getting your yogurt, you're getting your whey, you're getting these other things, and that's all out of just the same milk coming out of the cow. Yeah. And you're also getting your whole milk, your low-fat milk, and the rest of it. So it does sort of get, excuse the puns, a bit skimmed off the top.
Yeah, well, I'm sure if these big companies could get away with giving you water mixed with paint, they would. You know?
They probably would if they
wouldn't surprise me.
They make a bob on it, yeah.
Now, I just want to bend your ear as well, because I was listening to Michael Tellinger on the way up in the car. Now, I know who Michael Tellinger is. I wasn't aware that he was behind Ubuntu, but I've listened to him for years, Michael Tellinger, in relation to, ancient civilizations. He's a very interesting character, he really is. But one thing that he did mention was, in relation to Ubuntu, was a cashless society. Now, that is something I've always had a problem with, and the reason I've got a problem with a cashless society is because the banks would love nothing more than a cashless society. That way they would have total control over finances. And that, to me, is a very dangerous road to go down, because if you don't play ball with what the government wants to do, and we don't have any cash in society, all they've got to do to get their own back on you is to switch off your card and shut you out of the system. How would Ubuntu counteract something like that happening?
Excuse me. To be honest, well, first, just one thing, I'm not sure what way he kind of means a cashless, whether it is cashless and fully electronic or cashless, as in we evolved to the point where we don't have a lot of need for the trade in cash to each other or money. I from the side of it being the less use of money, in a sense that more things are free in our world. I think, I always took it that's sort of a long-term vision. In a sense, it's like a direction. And using that as a direction, you think, well, how am I going to get to that direction? How am I going to get to that point? What tools am I going, what way am I going to do it? And that's then where the next step evolves with how we work. As in, for a lot of what we need, we all just work together. We give a small portion of our individual time to a project or a deed or a good. Excuse me. And for that, like I said, 3 hours a week each. 100 people do that. You've got 300 man-hours available per week to achieve something in your local area. So you could put a lot of people, like I said, making furniture, knitting woolly blankets for people.
You could get a whole lot done there. You're right. Yeah. But,
it's massive. It's a massive amount of power available.
Now, can I ask you, how do you deal with people? Say, for example, you have your farm, right? And say there's 300 of us on that farm on any given week. How do you deal with the lazy gits who don't want to do anything?
Well, what it is it's not. Yes, I understand what you mean, but
you're always going to get them.
Place where a lot of people will be living. In a sense, what it is we'll take the two villages now where we're doing it, and the people. I would imagine about 80% of the folks who will be contributing their time and anything to do with it all live locally. They all live in those villages because it's in their interest and it's to do it because it makes collectively their lives better and individually their lives much better.
Yeah.
You're going to learn skills, you're going to learn knowledge, you're going to be exposed to all of the other people in your locality. And you're going to be, the other 20% will be folks who will come and go, who will come in from anywhere. And those are the people you'll also be lucky enough to get exposed to. New ideas, new perspectives, people from other countries, new technologies, languages. You learn new language. You learn new. The other fierce, important thing about meeting folks from other countries is you get to kind of see the things from their perspective. And if they're very different cultures, they can often see me be like, God on earth, what are they thinking in that way? But when you get to know them a little bit, and you learn a little bit about their culture and how they see the world, how they work things out, what their perspective is on things.
Yeah. I think that's one of the big problems.
It's good to, I think, bring you get a bigger vision. You get sort of more rounded, I think, a little more grown up with it.
Yeah.
But that's how I felt about it, how I feel about it.
I feel the same way myself. I mean, I see this in this country. Like, we've got so many different cultures now in Ireland. And since immigration into this country began, say 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when it really started back in the early 90s.
Yes.
Since then, we have now developed into a nation of people who moan about foreign nationals now coming into this country and stuff like that. We know nothing about their cultures.
Correct.
And this is the problem. You know nothing about them, I mean, when you hear them talking about Romanians, for example, on the radio, it's usually about Romanian pickpockets. And I know Romanians who are not pickpockets. They're decent human beings. And, there's a Romanian guy in the shed I work at, for example, and he's a fantastic wood turner, and he's teaching me some great skills. Yep. But for the rest of the Romanian community, I know nothing about. It's the same for every other community, whether it's African communities. The Italian communities we know an awful lot about because they came here back in the 40s and 50s with their chip shops and ice creams and stuff like that. So we learned about the Italian communities. But
we're lucky, weren't we? Nice ice cream.
Yeah, true enough. But as I said, all the other cultures that are here, whether they be African cultures, Eastern European cultures, we know little or nothing about them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's very true. And what happens when you have a gap in knowledge? You get a fear.
But that's the thing. That was going to be my next statement. We end up having a fear of these people then, and that then leads on to racism and other crap, because people are not born racist. You have to develop racism.
You can only have racism if you have fear.
Yeah.
And ignorance breeds fear. And I don't mean ignorance in any rude sense, in any unkind sense. Just ignorance is in the lack of knowledge about a certain particular subject. It's absolutely true. And the other thing is, I suppose, what we get is we do get to hear the bad news about people. And if it's somebody from a different nationality or a different culture from ourselves, it stands out more. But again, that appeals to the primal instinct in us.
Yeah.
And that's, again, why the news is the way. This is why scary things grab our attention more. It's that old primal wiring that says, there's a threat here.
Yeah.
What is
fight or flight?
I mean, any good PR man, any good guy on advertising, whatever, will know that they will work towards a strong campaign is one that will appeal to your primal fears. And I think it's the same with that. Anything different, anything you hear that's threatening or dangerous stays in your mind.
Yeah, true.
And we still have the habit of that. The news is full of a lot of unpleasant things, pretty much most of the time.
Yeah. I should not talking about nuclear war at the moment on Sky News, for God's sake. That's how bad it's getting, you know. It's ridiculous, you know. Donald Trump and King Jong-un.
I think that's a very, very bad idea.
Yeah, well, it is. It's not a very good idea. Listen, I need to go to one more, lad, so do you mind mute your mic for a couple of more minutes, Bill?
Absolutely.
That'd be brilliant. And we've about 15 minutes left then when we come back. Folks, we'll be back in a couple of minutes with Bill O'Brien. Talk to us very shortly.
You're listening to Liffey Sound, www.liffeysoundfm.ie.
Listen online. Community radio at its best.
Local programmes, local presenters, local news. Tune to Liffey Sound 96.4 FM.
Now, folks, you're very welcome back. The text number is 087-062-7138. That's 087-062-7138 if you have any comments or any thoughts on what we're talking about here tonight. Now, Bill, I just want to, before we do wrap things up, Ubuntu, do you see it expanding in Ireland and taking off?
I do, to be honest, Mick. I'll tell you just briefly the way our model is working with Ubuntu. The business, the enterprise that's been put up in the communities is a cooperative, and Ubuntu is the engine for it. So it's not Ubuntu is not like an overreaching organisation that, like any other big organisation. Oh, well, I have to be a member of this to be, to be part of it or to be accepted to it or to have any kind of an influence or,
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of us, that's just more hardship and more things to be connected to, rather than just a simple in your own locale. When you do this, you have your own local community project or enterprise or cooperative, and you use the framework, the Ubuntu model, to use your manpower. So you're not tying it to that. You're not making, well, you have to do this and it's an Ubuntu model. It's just a model you copy, get the parts out of it that suit you where you live, and use it. And the same Ubuntu is the model for bringing people together, you and very well organised manpower. What we've done is we've called the little project in Tipperary, we've called it the Low Entropy Cooperative, and the low entropy is a measure of disorder in an information system, or in another, in thermodynamics, it's another term meaning a similar thing. And so the low entropy is low disorder, is well organized, and that's the business plan is very solid. What the projects are is very well planned and communicated, and also, like you said earlier, with the councils, that fully integrated, fully connected to as many interested parties as possible, which means it's very ordered. There's no miscommunication. There's a low entropy there, and things get done very well. Even the entropy information systems is the more randomness, the higher the entropy, and also the more randomness, the less information, the less data, less usable information. And so that's why that's there. That's what we're.
I mean, one thing I've noticed.
That's the over idea of the big picture of the.
One thing I've noticed in this country over the last few years, particularly in Dublin as well, and I'm sure nationwide, is what I can only describe as the destruction of communities by local councils. Like, for example, in Dublin, there would have been a lot of flat complexes in Dublin. Now, I lived in one for 15 years. And they're rough areas to live in, don't get me wrong. They were plagued by drugs and crime and stuff like that. But overall, they were absolutely fantastic places to bring children up in because of the sense of community in them. With the people themselves, not the place you were living in, but it was the people themselves. And with the destruction of these communities, and that's what it was, what they did was they rehoused everyone in them, they scattered them all to the four winds and pulled the blocks of flats down. So that community was killed off. And I can only imagine that the agenda here on a national level is to get rid of all communities, because it's much easier to take over a country, to take over the world, if there's no sense of community anywhere. And I would think that what you're doing is the last thing the state would want to see. So do you come up against any opposition to what you're doing, or? To
be honest with you, no.
Well, that's a good thing then.
I'm surprised by that, because I'll tell you, I fully understand what you're talking about, and like yourself, and I'm sure many of the people that listen to you, we've all got to a point where we've done a lot of research and have seen a lot of nefarious looking goings on in various fields, and it can leave you kind of feeling things are pretty rough and things don't run all that smoothly. But trying it, having actually taken the deep breath and jumped in, what I found was that it's kind of a way of approaching it. I found that by asking for people for their help and their knowledge and saying, look, you know, we all do it together and we share and we help each other with whatever you know. If we need it, well and good, and whatever I know, if you need it, well and good, I'll share it.
And that's the human way.
Folks are really positive about it.
Yeah.
That they're really enthusiastic. Because I'll tell you, Mick, it's not, there's no big jump. There's no leap in faith to imagine it.
But I think human beings want to help each other anyway. That's the natural order of things.
Absolutely.
You know, we do want to help each other.
True.
Yeah, and I see that. Sorry, go ahead. Say.
Oh, so yes, yeah. You're saying about people. I mean, I'll give you an example of, and everyone will have felt this. Which do you feel better doing? Giving somebody a gift or receiving one?
Giving it. I mean, it's. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to receive a donut now and again, you know, but no, you're right. Giving something to someone and helping someone do something, even if it's only helping someone across the road or off a bus, you know, you get the feeling of positivity you get from that alone, and that spreads out. Whereas if it's something negative, you know, it doesn't do anything at all.
Couldn't agree more. It's something absolutely physical. It's more than physical, but you can feel it very easily physically when you help somebody. Yeah. You do something good, you just get that. You get that buzz. You do get a buzz from it. You do, of course you do. But I mean, it comes back to the old saying, you're evolving. If we evolve in the right direction and follow, I think the right direction, evolution, is towards love. Yeah. And love is about others. It's about others. It's not about the self. That's ego and fear and whatever. But
well, that's it, yeah.
So that's where, and that's the proof of it, isn't it? Well, you give the gift or you help somebody or, you pick up somebody's keys that they drop, holding the shopping. Yeah. It's those small things, holding the door open for somebody. Please and thank you.
Now, someone once asked me what their purpose in life was. And I said, look, you know, you could go through your whole life, live for 70 years, and your only purpose, your only reason for coming into this existence and then back over was to maybe help an elderly lady off the bus. That was it.
Sure.
You know, that was your only function in life. That's why you were put here, to help that person off that bus at that particular moment in time. And after that, you can do what you like. You know, and they say, come on, mate, you know, that's a bit ridiculous just to do one thing in your life. It's simple, why not? You know, we're all here to serve a purpose, and it's probably just one purpose, to do one thing that takes a couple of minutes to do.
Absolutely, yeah, and that'll be important. And if from that experience you gain something, you grow up a little bit, you get that sense of, my God, it's the giving that is the growth. That's where it's at. You can feel that's the evolutionary path. That's the positive evolutionary path. I mean, and like you mentioned a little earlier about all these, all this sort of talking to each other about nuclear war and all this other madness. You don't have to be fully academic to understand that that's an evolution towards negative path. That's not a good way to go. And it doesn't feel good. And you know that it's a race to the bottom. You're not evolving. You're not actually doing any better doing that sort of thing. If you can't figure it out, talk. Well, I think perspective. I don't think you're ever going to figure it out beating each other up with these terrible things.
Well, I think all these world leaders who seem to have problems with each other should just get into a ring and punch the head off each other and get it done and over with. You know what I mean? Don't involve the rest of us.
I think that's a great idea.
You know,
in fact, what I'd love to see happen is anybody who advocates war, from a leader down to the voter, I'd say, no bother, take 2 weeks and take them out with the really skilled forces and give them 2 weeks of it. Say, this is what it's like, right in the heart of what you're putting people doing and what you say is necessary. And I can tell you, I don't think after any of those experiences there'd be any more tough talk about war and killing.
You're right there. You know, send their children to war and they'll soon stop it.
The men and women who are out there, like all the rest of us, you know, you don't always see the bigger picture when you're in it. And even when you do see it, there's always a bigger picture than that again, you know yourself. But it's a tough job. It's not a nice thing. It's a tough place. It's a tough station to be at.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be there.
Anyway, the way the world is, the attitude is someone has to do it. But that's also, I think, changing. People are starting to think, maybe I don't have to do it. Maybe that's not a good option, not a good job, not that necessary. Let's hope so.
Yeah. Can I ask you, Bill, do you think there's a shift in consciousness going on? Michael Tellinger talks about this shift in consciousness. I was listening to him earlier on. And, you know, how do you feel about that? Do you think Like even in Ireland, like just take our own nation as an example. Do you think consciousness is rising and people are waking up to what's going on and things might change for the better?
To be honest, yes, absolutely. There's all the things we're doing. You know, we're talking now tonight. We're talking about Ubuntu, which is actually, in fairness to Michael tells you now, it's a big global awareness.
Yeah,
he's worked very, very hard over the last few years, and he's told people about it. He spread the idea of it, and he puts an awful lot of he puts himself into it fully.
Yeah, he puts a lot of energy into it, all right, yeah.
And fair play to him. You know, that takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage, because you know yourself and what you do. Anything public takes a big breath of air. Yeah. That takes courage. And but there is, every day you're hearing people talking about even the simple stuff. Like we said earlier, clean food, clean water, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I see that as an awareness. That's a rise in consciousness, awareness, and a little step in the right direction, a little more maturity in it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed, like in this country, for example, with the water issue, you mentioned water there, clean water. You know, we had the big awakening in relation to water charges. You know, the whole bloody nation got out and said, no, we're not paying for water, end of, go away. But what struck a big chord with me was all these people who come out and protested against water charges, none of them mentioned the crap that's in the water.
I know.
Like, what about taking the bloody fluoride out, you know?
Yeah, do you know what? If they turned around and they said, right, you know, here's a water charge, I don't know how, I can't remember how much it was, like 100-something euros. It's a lot of money. If they turned around and said, yes, we've privatised it, you know, we know it's already been built. So, you know, being charged for it is ridiculous. I mean, they say it costs so much. It's not. It's cost of supplying it. You're not building it again. It was built back in the 50s.
Yeah.
You know, it's already built.
It's already been paid for, the infrastructure, yes.
It's the hard sell. But if they said, here's the water charge, but you know what, for that money, we guarantee you the ones that's been used domestic, in both animals as well, because they shouldn't be drinking all the fluoride and the hard stuff that's in it. If they said, we guarantee you we'll filter it and supply you with really top-class water, kind of water you get from your home purifiers, you know, there's good quality purifiers, I'd be like, 100%. Give me a high five. I'm doing it. I'll pay you your €150 a year for that.
If I knew it was genuine clean water, yeah.
Just Evian bottles or whatever other brand you might like to drink.
Yeah.
But if you're getting your own home water and they're pumped and it's filtered and they're actually giving you top-class water, perfect. But if they're doing what they're doing and just taking it over and scamming more money out of it, and not changing the quality of it and hiding behind, the fluoride's good and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it seemed that...
The science is there. I'm not, you know, I'm not a scientist in that field of it, but, you know, there's so many studies, there's obviously something to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, grow up and fix it. You know, it's not rocket science. Pump clean water.
Well, the fluoride keeps us dumbed down. I think that's the reason they put it into the water. It's not, you know, people have this misconception that the government actually cared about your teeth. They don't. You know, if the government had...
I'd rather they cared about the general... I think the general good of people could be better dealt with in other areas than just focusing on the teeth. Well, a good set of chompers is important, but
that's what they focus on. They say it's good for your teeth, which I don't believe for a second. You know, I mean, Adolf Hitler used fluoride in the water, and he used it to pacify the prisoners, you know, so... You know,
he did. And another interesting thing with it is if you look at the quantities that you get for the quantities put in, the drinking water that's drank by the human population, you know, the 4.5 million or the 7 million, whatever the country, is about 0.002% of the water that's pumped.
Yeah.
The bulk of it's used in industry and agriculture and all sorts of other stuff. And so you're consuming, I think it's 0.002 or it's 0.0002. It's one of those. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head right now.
It's a very slow amount or a small amount.
It's a very, very tiny, minuscule amount. Now, you're medicating the whole water system, right? The whole 100% of it to help the teeth of the 0.0002% of it.
Yeah.
Now, to be cheaper, obviously, if you're paying for this stuff, you're buying this stuff, this fluoride, and putting it in. Wouldn't it be not a lot cheaper to just put it in a fluoride tablet, which are available also more topical for your teeth, and they say is less harmful, and supply them free from the pharmacies? And say, well, you know, you go in there every so often, you can get this box of fluoride tablets and eat them if you want.
That's good for your teeth.
And it would cost the government a fraction a day and to deal with the full water supply system in the whole country.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of questions.
So the math doesn't work. Do you know, or maybe somebody just didn't think of it yet. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think force medicating people is wrong anyway. People should be given the choice whether they want that crap in the water, but unfortunately we're not.
Yeah, there's a lot of studies that say that it's not good for you, and drank, systemic.
Yeah.
But here's another interesting thing. If you put your tap water through a good quality purifier, you'll drink nothing else. It's magic. Yeah. It's so tasty. You're taking out a lot of that other stuff. A good quality purifier will.
Well, I don't drink the water up here in Dublin. I don't drink the water in Dublin. It's horrible.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, mate.
I don't drink the water in Dublin. It's horrible. Now, I have drank water down the country that's pumped straight from the ground, and you can taste the difference. There's a massive difference in it, But listen, Bill, unfortunately, I have come up to the end of the show. I've got a minute left, so do you want to give out the name of a website people can go and have a look at Ubuntu Ireland?
Yes, it's ubuntuireland.com or www.ubuntuireland.com. They have also ubuntuplanet.org is the big website, the global one, where you get all the links to other bits and pieces.
And of course, they can look up Michael Tellinger on YouTube as well. He's got tons and tons of videos on YouTube.
Michael Tellinger's there, and even for our project in Tipperary, through the our Ubuntu engine, it'll be it's coming on public next month and will be called the Low Entropy Cooperative.
Well, brilliant.
And so have a look at that, and I'll send you the details when it's all online and public.
And that'll be brilliant, and I'll put them up on the Facebook page as well.
And see and have some fun with it.
Well, listen, I wish you nothing but the best in the future for your project, and I hope everything goes well and according to plan.
Thank you very much, Mick. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I wish you very good with the show you do. It's wonderful.
Thanks very much, and it's been a pleasure having you on, and I'll get you on again sometime when you're up and running, and we'll get an update from you to see how things are going.
I'd love to.
That's brilliant. Well, listen, Bill, thanks very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Bill. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was Bill O'Brien from Ubuntu Ireland. As he's just said there, he does have a farm going down in Tipperary. They're just getting up and running, and I think it's a wonderful concept, this Ubuntu, But we'll see where it goes from here, and I'll keep you updated on it as the days wear on and whatnot, and we'll see what happens. But until next time, folks, this has been The World You Don't Know. And remember, the world is full of wonderful people. If you can't find one, be one. Until next time, talk to you again. Bye-bye.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Waking humanity, one soul at a time. This is The World You Don't Know radio show with your host, Nick O'Connell.